the meeting. Okay, call it to order. I take it everybody has read the version that we presented at the last meeting of the selectmen with the yellow updates in it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, mine didn't actually come through with the yellow in it, but if I
Okay.
follow what, if you followed what the attorney sent?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's, and
Yeah.
just basically made corrections to what he said.
I think that version that Jen distributed the other night at
Yep.
Selectmen's meeting
This is it,
marked
yeah.
up.
Yeah, it is.
And you can see the difference between the 10.7 and the 10.14 versions there.
Yep.
Yep.
So really, it just starts with Article 5, right? 5.1?
5.1, yep. And why don't we go through that portion of it, and then we'll handle anything that's come up since then.
What was 5.1?
Okay, and this is the way they're updated on her
Yeah.
version.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
You're looking at the 5.14 version now, is that
I'm
right?
looking at 1014.
10.14, I'm sorry, yeah.
15A.
Yeah. What, 5A? Oh,
15A. 1014, 15A.
oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
10.14,
Yes, please.
Revision 1014, 15A.
I don't have that.
You don't have an A on yours?
No?
Might not have got on all the ones that get printed
I
out.
don't have an A on mine
It's the
either.
same one, because you've got the same markings.
Okay, yeah, I think
Okay.
I printed this right from you.
Yep.
This may have been.
I think I updated something that Dick pulled out. It was just
Okay.
like a comma or a,
Okay,
you know.
all right, all right, all right.
But I'll go through this one so we can, maybe it's member of the public to be selected, not appointed on 715.
Okay, yeah, okay, that was the mention that I made at Selectmen's
Yep.
meeting the other night, yeah. Was that?
Was that from?
Was that
okay,
everybody's?
That wouldn't have been it then.
Was that
Yep.
everybody's
That's the note I
recollection?
must have made from the meeting.
Okay, yeah,
Well, let's go through it.
yeah.
So basically, 5.1, we added the yellow, employee handbooks and SOGs. The SOG document provides detailed description of operating rules for emergency situations, member qualifications, training, standards, and officer responsibilities. And that was because the lawyer said Article 5 has been changed significantly. However, subsection 5.1 has become a little vague because it no longer describes the function of the SOG documents. So basically, I just went back and grabbed that same thing that we took out before and put it back in that describes the functions.
That's because a lawyer doesn't know what they are, but everybody else does.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it takes
If you don't
takes the
know,
guesswork out.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't
no,
know,
that-
somebody out
that's
there
fine.
else doesn't.
All right.
Yeah,
Or
that's
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't have any problem with
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
and then in 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4, the
Yep.
grievance disciplinary and town policy. He's got concerns about Article 6 because some provisions suggest employment-related matters are covered solely by the department personnel policy. And he wanted that it should be the town and department's personnel policy.
yeah.
And is there a problem with,
Well, I thought that we kind of discussed that, just one of the more restrictive is the one we're gonna try to enforce.
right,
Okay, that's a revision that occurred while I was not here. That was this 10.7 meeting apparently.
Right.
And that got incorporated in your revision and I saw it and then it reappeared here. And I do have a problem with it, as
Okay.
I have
Yep.
made clear to everybody, I think. And again, to reiterate what my problem is this does not distinguish between volunteers and paid people. I do not have a problem with this as it applies to per diem people.
I gotta say, because we do have, our whole dynamics unfortunately has changed. We're gonna have two career people and per diem people that are,
Right.
people actually being paid staff
Right, right.
personnel, yes.
Right, yeah. I do have a problem with the application of those rules to the volunteers, which are the backbone behind the group. And I do have a proposal tonight, okay, for us to consider if we want to move this thing forward. The alternative is to go back and revisit this, because as it stands here, I am not going to be in favor of recommending this to the Warrant and Finance, and I think everybody understands it.
Yep.
So, and I have exchanged opinion with Dick on this. He got back to me on it, And, oh, were you aware of that?
Well,
Okay,
yeah, the
okay.
stuff that was copied out to everybody,
Oh, that Dick sent the.
Some of that came
The personnel policies that he.
no, I
Oh,
didn't see
okay.
the personnel policies.
You
Just
know, the quick
talk
and
back
dirty, the
forth.
quick and dirty way to do this so that we can move this thing forward and get it going is to simply amend this as I have drafted here and just remove volunteers from it, okay?
I'm
Get
not
it
in
done.
favor of that.
Huh?
I'm not in favor of that, because we don't have any volunteers.
Well, this is not clearly defined. Obviously, we have volunteers, our intent with paying them has a.
The minute they get paid, though, they're a town employee.
Okay, well, if that's gonna be the case, then
Well, I mean,
I
isn't
don't
that
think-
true?
I don't think that's clear. I don't think that's clear at all.
Well, I see another problem here is now we're having two different employment records categories for the same department. So these guys are held to one standard,
Right.
these guys are held to another.
Well, that is,
I
that
don't
is,
think
that
that's
is.
a good point.
And we talked back along about-
I don't think it is either.
Right,
Okay?
okay.
I think the whole issue needs to be addressed. But if we go look at the personnel policies as created by the selectmen, okay, the big problem with this is, there's only one personnel category that they fit into, and I think this is described in my memo, and that is temporary employees. And the way this reads, the employee may be terminated for any reason at any time by the Board of Selectmen. That's the only category that applies. You can't do that with any other sort of paid employee. Okay? So I've got a problem with this convergence of deals. Because
guess
you
point
wouldn't
taken.
do that, you wouldn't do that to a per diem employee, because you provided all kinds of protections for per diem employees.
Yep.
You wouldn't do that to a full-time hourly employee, a probationary employee, or a full-time salaried employee.
Okay,
They have protective devices written into this. There's no category for these, quote, volunteers, unquote, except for this temporary employee, who can be terminated.
but it says these are applicable to the provisions of the town and the department's personnel policy.
Right.
And it says, the town personnel policy shall supersede fire rescue personnel policy in the event of a conflict.
Right.
So,
And does that mean a conflict between people, a conflict between regulations? I have no idea what that means.
I think it means a
Okay.
conflict between policies.
Well,
The way it's
probably,
written.
but who knows? But going back again, these are volunteers. The only place that they get classified in this personnel policy is as temporary employees. And it says right here, let me read it again.
You read
the
it. We all
employees-
know what it is.
okay,
Let's
may be
not drag
terminated.
it out.
Okay.
I still want to know where the volunteers are.
What do you mean?
I don't see where you have any volunteers, per se. They're all
Because they
paid.
get,
They get
right.
paid, they get
They
paid,
get
per-
paid.
They're still under the temporary employment.
Right.
That's where the volunteers are. They get
There's
paid,
no
but
statement in there to include temporary
They're
people.
not an hourly
more or less.
rate, they're not mandated certain hours.
Well, I think then the thing there we've got to do
Just change that.
is create that document, not
Yeah.
rewrite this one.
Okay, now, there's a problem with this, okay, which I think I've already addressed also. This document is a creation of the selectmen. There is no vehicle by which volunteers, okay, or members of the public have input into this document, and it can be changed at any point in time, without consultation with anybody, because of the way this has been created,
Yeah.
okay? Which goes back to my original objection. to
So
it.
then, everything in that, everybody in the town is subject to those rules, so they can change any part of it. The people with all the guarantees can be
No, no, no,
written
no,
out
no,
of the
no, 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 no,
guarantees
no.
because they can change that policy.
No, that's not true.
it's
That's not
okay.
true. For any elected officer can't be touched by this,
Okay,
okay?
elected officers, but
Yeah,
those.
and it's not clear
yeah.
about, and volunteers for the town can't be touched by it.
Yep.
School people can't be touched by it,
Yep.
okay? It's just, it's a mess, okay? I mean,
Right.
that's what I
But that's
said.
that document, that's not this.
No, but what does this document say? The document that we're looking at here says that the town's personnel policy shall supersede the fire rescue personnel policy if found stricter of the two. That's one.
In the event of every conflict,
Right.
is the latest.
Right.
recommended by the lawyer.
Included both, yeah, which, and basically what he's doing is, he's not doing law, he's doing management, which is not his business, but let's not be there. So I very frankly have a problem with this, and like I say, I can't recommend it here. I can say, if we do this, I can recommend it, we can go ahead, and then we can deal with the other issues that come up. Or we can go back and work on this, or it can just go the way it is, and I'll make my recommendation, and then Warren Finance can do what they want, and Town Meeting can do what they want. So,
Petey, the way it's written, if you have a conflict with an employee, and you gotta do something with a volunteer, with a member of the department, okay, we'll break it down that way, and you can't come to a resolution, what do you do? Where do you go?
The last incident I had, of course, I can't get too much into detail.
Right.
It went to a certain level above and beyond in my mind, what my capabilities was, and I needed the reinforcement and the backing of the selectmen to support my decision.
Right.
And that's what I did.
right, and that's fine, I don't have a problem with that.
That was a volunteer.
Right, okay, that's fine, but if that's going to be the procedure here, then that has to be laid out, okay? And it has to be specified, because this is not clear, okay? I don't have the application process is fine, okay? But volunteers, if we're gonna call them volunteers, we're gonna have to define them, all right? Well,
Like I said,
I made my position.
I still say you don't have any volunteers here. They're all paid a stipend, they're all paid, a certain amount of money. To me, that takes them off the volunteer status.
Well, then where do you classify them in this personnel
But they'd still be a temporary
policy?
employee under that, correct?
Right.
And I'd have to read that, I'd have to go through that document to see.
Yeah.
I think that's what, you
So,
know,
I mean, you may be, I don't know if,
Yeah, because they don't have a contract, and they're not a full-time, and they don't
Yeah.
have hours, it's only,
right.
so I
So you
can
should-
see that
yeah.
point.
So we just simply go to the personnel policy and add into that what needs to be added, at the selectmen's level, to include those people.
Well, again, expanding on that, and that's what Dick came to me with was, and then you saw my response to him. The problem with this goes back to the creation and management of this policy, that you can deal with it, you can rewrite it, but there's no vehicle in there for anybody who's being affected by it to be involved in the process of that development, okay? There needs to be a vehicle by which the volunteers or people you're affecting when you change that policy are part of the process.
I don't fully agree with that.
Which policy are you
but-
talking about? This one, or the town's personnel
No,
policy?
if we're going to include, okay, our quote volunteers or whatever we're gonna
Yeah.
call them, we gotta define them, first of all. If we're going to include them in this, and we want these people to
You
have
keep
input.
saying in this, what do you talk, which document
Okay.
is this?
In either one of them, in this process, okay? I mean, we're writing some rules, or somebody is writing some rules that affect what I'm going to call the volunteers in the
Right.
department, or the people that are getting paid this stipend that the
Yeah.
town votes for every year, okay? We don't know where they fall in this, all right? If it is a department-created policy that they're part of that process and within the department. Once it goes to the selectmen's level, then they're no longer a part of the process, because there's nothing in the personnel policy that requires that anybody be considered except two selectmen. Two selectmen can write and change the rules,
Okay.
okay? And I think that the people who are being affected, especially our volunteers, because we want them to have buy-in, okay, to be part of the process, need to be part of the process to get this straightened out.
Okay, and what do you recommend to the town's personnel policy? How do we do that?
Well, I don't think we're gonna do it tonight, okay?
Okay, but I'm asking how you
Well,
would,
the way I would do it would be, I would go to the town and say, boom, well, let's have a committee to do this, have an elected committee or have volunteers or whatever. You have to have a group of people sitting together, and there also has to be the opportunity for input in the event this is changed. And this is why I have
chances are a committee put that together.
Well, I know a committee put it
The
together.
policy committee.
Yeah,
So-
I understand that, but it was not a committee that was representative of the town or responding to the town or responding to the volunteers. It needs to have the input of the town, or at least the input of the volunteers, and there needs to be a vehicle for that in this. We can't touch this, we don't own this. The selectmen are the only people that own this,
Okay,
okay?
yep,
So we can't do anything with this tonight or at any point in time, unless the process by which this is created and managed is changed.
Right.
All right? What we can do is deal with this, the fire rescue ordinance, and simply go with this right now, because we're not gonna revise this now, and I don't think we're gonna rewrite this.
I don't think we are in either.
No. Well, unless we want to, I mean, that's an option.
That's-
In which case, we would define in the membership here, the category of volunteer or whoever we're talking about here, and then we
Right.
could talk about them, which is, to my way of thinking, where we should have started in this process. You start with your most valuable asset, and that's your people. But that's neither here nor there. We're trying to move this thing forward tonight, or we're not. And I think we can do this, get it through the town meeting, and then deal with the issue of picking up those that are the volunteers, or,
Under what this says, Petey, does that give you any teeth to be able to do anything to a member of the department?
he's got the fire department personnel policies. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yep.
Town of Acton personnel policy is applicable to per diem employees only. No action taken pursuant to the Town of Acton personnel policy shall alter the volunteer status of the member. Basically, what he's saying is, the town has no, in my mind, the town has no authority at all over him, it's the fire chief himself.
Yep. So you get to a point where you,
But the fire chief
Have an impasse.
still ends up going, ultimately, because, well, as I am fire chief, I'm not just gonna terminate anybody
Right.
without going to the town
Right,
fathers
right.
first, or an
And I
HR
wouldn't,
person,
I
or
wouldn't,
somebody.
right, I wouldn't recommend that you do. I think that would be the wrong thing to do.
but by putting this in though,
It's basically saying that I am, and they have no say.
right, that's it
That last
exactly.
line.
Yeah,
I don't think that's true. I don't, but,
Well,
I mean, you.
no action
you
taken
or
pursuant to the Town of
department.
Acton personnel
Okay,
policy.
Right.
yeah, you've written
But
that
the depart-
policy right out of it.
The department can do it. The department can terminate the person.
But I wouldn't without blessing from,
Well, you can get
Okay.
blessing, but it's not an action by them, and it's not an action in accordance with the policy. This is where the problem is, okay? It's not, you can, by your own rules in-house, okay? Have, and if you need to, you can rewrite the portions of this that apply, and some of them don't, you know that as well as I do, okay? You can incorporate those in the fire department personnel policies. Now, I would not ever suggest that you terminate somebody without talking with a selectman, but if it's a fire department action, okay?
well, I'd do the discipline myself, but as far as
Right.
termination, yes.
Yeah,
You know,
that's where I'm at.
the problem I have is rewriting this because there's something wrong with that. I
Yeah,
think
what
the
do we-
proper way to go about that is to straighten that up, the town personnel policy, which was written by a committee. There's no reason we can't get a committee together
Well,
to correct it, even if we
That's
go
right.
for the original one or
And they
whatever.
could do that,
But,
in
you know,
fairly
that's-
short order.
yep, That's my
Yeah.
input.
yeah.
okay.
That can be done in short order. So this could go the way it is, we can straighten that.
Well, that takes us back to where we are when we started out with this thing, okay? These folks, I'm going to be very blunt now, these folks were very, very reluctant to speak up, okay? Until there was a little bit of muscle behind them. All right, in other words, some push, to which I spent a lot of marbles on the floor, okay? To get us to where we are. If we vote this in without dealing with this first, there are no more marbles. They're all gone, okay?
So basically you're saying,
I'm saying,
if we vote this in, you don't trust anybody to change that.
You know, I have been told in the past couple of years, a lot of times about this, that, and the other thing that
Yep.
was going to happen. Not only may it or may it not happen, but you know that's an issue, and I know that's an issue. The other part of this issue is, when it comes down to discussing what the actual outcome is, these folks need to have a little bit of weight and power behind them, and if this goes through the way it is, that's gone. They don't have those marbles anymore. So that's where I'm coming from.
Unfortunately, this document is being held up because of, between warrant and finance and the town fathers. And this is your way of fighting it out, and unfortunately, it's all being fought out over this document now,
Well,
you know?
Yep.
And we're kind of being held hostage because of the disagreements between warrant and finance and,
no, it's,
The
right,
select-
right, it's not a warrant and finance right now.
well, that's the threat, is
It's-
warrant and finance isn't
You're-
going to
you're the rep
agree
for
with
warrant
this.
and finance.
I'm a rep
so
for
that's-
my recommendation, I'm telling you what my recommendation is going to be, and I'm telling you why it's going to be there. There's a way to move forward, that's one of them, okay? Then we catch up and tie up the ends. Alternately, we get this straight before we move on this. Okay?
Before Tuesday evening.
Well, you know, I didn't put in this 10-7 or 10-14 edition. I've seen it since I got back, and it's come to my attention, and it's a concern. So,
Well, let's go for it.
So is it my understanding that you guys agree there's a problem here?
I don't think there is.
I think the problem is maybe with that document.
I'll agree with that.
I think, you know, our document is pretty straightforward, and it's been through.
well, I think
how
the
many of
other,
these
I think the
meetings?
other thing to do, with this document is to define a little bit better your membership. I mean, I would have differentiated between employees that are doing per diem shifts and what I'm going to call volunteers who get paid a stipend. I don't know, okay? And the time frame here is very short, and it's not an adequate time to think this thing through as it affects both documents. I don't think it is. So,
So I guess my question, Tom, is you're against this, correct? The ordinance?
I am.
You're gonna recommend not?
But did you see what I wrote?
I guess what I'm getting at is, if they don't see a problem, and you're agreeing that this is the problem, what is your problem with this, with not passing this right now?
Because he doesn't trust the selectmen to fix that, basically.
Let's not use,
That's what's coming
let's
out.
not use the term.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest,
All right,
that's
all
what
right,
I'm
all
saying.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't trust. I want to see,
Okay.
I want to see.
You
it.
don't think
I
it's
wanna
gonna
see it in
happen, you
play.
wanna see it happen before this gets passed on Tuesday.
Gotcha, and that's
And
probably not
or
gonna happen.
Otherwise, right.
No,
Otherwise, we
it
wanna
can't, it
add-
can't reasonably happen because you need to involve people. And the other part of the problem here is, even after this gets, let's say it gets modified.
Correct.
It can be modified at any point in time by
That's
two
right.
people.
Yep.
And you're affecting your volunteers with it, and they have no input into it. Just the way this is created and has come into being and can be amended. That's a problem.
So my question is, and I don't know anything about politics, so don't jump down my throat on this. Is there a way where we can pass this contingent upon the acceptance of a rewrite on that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That
either.
goes as an ordinance, right? I don't think
It's
that
kind of
goes
two
as an
different,
Yep.
Does the,
two different levels.
Yeah.
but is the selectmen's goes to the town, or the selectmen does?
The selectmen do
No, it
that.
doesn't go to the town.
No, that's just voted on by the selectmen.
Right.
But everything that's in there goes, you know, anything that's written that's gonna be an ordinance, before it's passed, goes to the attorney for blessing, to make sure everything is
Yep.
legal and enforceable and all that. So, then it comes back to us, back to the selectmen to be enacted upon.
I don't think the attorney understands enough about how this organization works. I think that's part of the problem. He's not here. He's talking to you guys, and that's it. And that's a real, and what he's doing is he's giving management advice. He's not giving, you know, which is outside of his bailiwick, which is another thing he does routinely, but, okay. So I guess that's where I'm at right now. and, let's see, what time do I have? So,
6:32.
30.
oh, okay, we
So-
got plenty of time.
Is there any other stuff we need to address?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, let's go.
Let's just jump ahead a little bit and see if everything else goes through. Okay? And then we can come back and dwell on it some more. Okay. So, the next one would be 7.1, appointments.
I have to share with you, Tom.
Uh,
Oh, do you have a copy?
I do.
Perfect. Awesome.
It's not highlighted yellow, that's the one Jen Rue made up for us, so they're denoted like Ed's, there's an asterisk. So we're looking at the revised 10, 14, 15 plan.
7.1.
Right here, here it is, right here.
Yeah, okay.
See that? Yeah.
So, got a lawyer's recommendation. We have fire chief, 3 years, deputy fire chief, 1 year, deputy rescue chief, 1 year, shall be recommended for appointment by a 7-member fire rescue commission consisting of the following. And the problem with that statement was that there was no remark about the selectmen have to appoint these people after they're recommended. So we added, after, shall be recommended for appointment to the selectmen by a 7-member fire. Those 3 words, to the selectmen. So it understands that the selectmen appoint the fire chief, the deputies, and that's the way it goes. And there was no real recommendation that said that. So I changed those 3 words, and
That's good, I don't have a problem with that at all, I think that's fine.
Well, I believe one of the emails Dick sent, he had a problem with the whole deputy fire, deputy rescue
did.
terminology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree with him, I don't agree with him. I don't care if they both say deputy chief and have a subtitle like Ed said. I don't mind that at all. But Dick does have a point when you say deputy rescue chief. It insinuates that there is a rescue chief.
there is. The fire chief is the fire rescue chief.
Right, but
He's
it's,
in charge
in
of the
here, he's
department.
fire chief all the time, so that's what makes it confusing.
Well,
So I don't,
Only if you want to split it that way.
right, so I don't really care how that's worded, honestly, but I wanted to bring that up because Dick
Yep.
had a problem with it, and he does have a point that grammatically it is
Yep.
kind of confusing.
Then, as I had written back to Dick, which I think I copied to everybody,
Yep, you did.
you know, call them both deputy chiefs and let the SOGs spell out who's-
And, yep,
which one of the 2 numbers is going to do it.
That's a
And I'm
good-
fine
that's a
with
You
good-
got
that.
that's a good
C1,
idea,
then
yeah.
you're going to have a C2 and C3.
yep,
Let the SOGs say who's going to be
and I'm fine with that.
which what.
Yeah,
So,
I like that.
in which case, you won't be called a rescue, you won't be called a deputy rescue chief, just a deputy chief, period.
What do you think about that? Yep. Very-
That's
It
kind of
kinda
like, that's
cleans
kind
it.
of a different, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
it
It
good.
just
Yeah.
cleans it and lets the SOGs take care of it, because we don't say how many captains and how many lieutenants and
Right.
what their duties are, but it says it in the SOGs.
It's down the road, it could flip one way or the other. so
They could.
As long as it's a
They
number.
could.
Well, now this is gonna be rewritten, so.
Just
let's
put
see.
2 deputy chiefs.
I think, yeah,
Fire
let's see.
chief for 3 years, and
Yeah,
2 deputy chiefs.
deputy fire chief. let's
No.
see, 2.
2
2
deputy
deputy
chiefs.
chiefs.
2 deputy chiefs.
Yeah.
Yep,
That corresponds
For
with the
1
notion
year
of being on
each.
a level playing field on the organization chart, too.
yeah, then you eliminate the rescue portion.
So the rewrite would look like the appointments, the fire chief, in parentheses, 3 years, 2 deputy chiefs, 1 year each, shall be recommended for appointment to the selectmen by the 7-member committee. Does that work? Okay?
That's good. Fire chief, 3 years, 2.
2 deputy chiefs,
Yep,
1 year each,
yep.
shall be recommended for the appointment.
So fire chief for 3 years and 2 deputy chiefs.
So you need to change 7-2 then as well, just to keep it clean, 2 deputy chiefs? Or
Yeah.
are you breaking them apart there?
7-2.
And that makes the organizational chart easier, too.
Yep.
Cleans it up a
Yep.
bit.
7-2.
That's kind of goes along with my thing. I had
Yeah.
both of you being labeled
Appointment of deputy fire chief.
deputy
rescue
chiefs, deputy chief,
fire
comma,
chief,
rescue.
Reappointed.
And
Is that
deputy
what you
chief,
put it
comma,
down?
fire. we don't need to do that, we can just.
I have a different one than you apparently.
Yeah,
but
apparently
I
you
have
do.
the one that.
Oh, that's,
Michelle,
yeah, but
what's her name,
there's,
gave me.
there's
Keep
2 or
flipping.
3 of them in here.
Yeah, yeah, you want to go all the way to the back of that, last one in there.
Final proposed.
It's the
yeah.
fourth to last page in the packet.
3 of 6.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else
4 or
there.
5.
Are you not,
No,
I don't think
that
you're
was
far
it.
enough back, Pete. It's like the fourth from last.
Okay, so we go down to 7.2. That's what you were looking at. That's your 7.2.
Yep.
So it's covered.
At the selectmen's meeting, Tom, I think you brought up something on 7.1.5.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
Have we,
I
it's a
think.
one-word
Billy,
change.
yeah.
yep,
7.1.5, a member of the public to be appointed was the original sentence.
yep,
And we're saying selected
That's what I
by the
had.
6 members because only
Yeah.
the selectmen can appoint.
yep.
Okay.
So we're
Well,
changing
the
that.
other issue was that, what I had brought up was, it was my recollection in our discussions that that person was to be elected by the town meeting
Yeah,
in the
we-
event that,
Yep, that had been changed
Yeah.
in a couple of the iterations,
Okay,
and that's
all
what
right,
came out of it. so.
okay, all right.
You know, the
That's fine.
appointment and election at town meeting is good, but you're gonna elect somebody that's not even there, then they're not interested, it's just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
That's
Get
that's.
kinda
somebody
gets
that
us-
really
yeah,
wants to be
yeah.
there. for
And that's a
everything.
once a year event.
Yes.
Where this can be
Right, right.
anytime during the year.
Right,
Right.
right.
So,
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Okay. So then, basically, those were the changes. And the only point of contention we still have here is between the
The section, Article 6.
Article 6, as
yeah,
being
concerns
the
in
town
Article
and
6.
department's personnel policy.
yep,
And-
Which we can't do anything about the town's personnel policy.
Correct.
Right. So.
Well, we
Well,
can.
yes, we can make enough stink to help make change that
That's
needs to
right.
be changed.
Well,
It's not
and I
like
don't
these
see-
are
These
blind
are
eye.
elected officials that we elect, so.
right, and I don't see a problem
obviously,
trying to change it to be where it needs to be.
I think that's the cleanest way of doing
Yeah.
this myself, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I think you have a very good point. They didn't reach out to us, but yet we can make a very good point. We're gonna reach out to them and, hey,
Right.
this needs to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are
So-
two things that need to happen here, though. You need to be sure that there's a vehicle for involvement of the public, especially those affected.
Yep.
But that's the
Okay?
squeaky
By
wheel
any
we have
change
to
in here.
make now that we know.
Yep.
Yep.
right.
I mean, we were blindsided like anybody when
Yep.
I read that thing, the
But I
personnel
mean,
policy. It's just,
the biggest thing is there. We elect these guys.
Yep,
That's the biggest overall,
Yep.
you know, and then, I mean, we can come down and start, obviously doing a little more management on some of the documents, but the big threat is,
Well.
So if
the
your
proper thing-
concern is that that won't get done, I have a question for you. Do you trust that Pete and I will make sure it gets done? Because trust me, we will.
No, you can't make sure it gets done.
I will, we will go make a
there
stake
could be the
every.
squeaky wheel.
Right.
Oh, trust me,
Yeah.
you will be the major
Look,
squeaky
we're-
wheel.
We're
And
not,
you're
we're not voting until a week from tonight, so I'm going to go over, I'm gonna say, here's what's on
Okay,
the
so
table, here's what
whatever
the
we're doing
discussion
here
is.
isn't gonna
Yeah,
get
Right,
anything.
here's what's on the table, here's what we're discussing.
That's
Okay,
fine.
these are the issues before us, here's a recommendation, other things may happen between now and then, okay? And
We're going with you, so.
that, okay, okay.
Can
and
you
that's-
get down on paper what you think, how you think the personnel policy should be tweaked? Something I can take back to take back to the other two and say, we need to do a little change in here. Or, well, I mean, I need something to take back to them, just to,
I mean, I
Yeah.
think
Something very similar to this.
yeah, something on that
One or two
idea,
line-
but, yeah. I mean, it's very easy to get the personnel policy, get the personnel committee back together. Though I think it's missing 2 members right now, because they've moved to Florida.
Well, I think
But-
the bigger issue too is that committee itself. I mean, the committee has to incorporate the people who are being affected
Yeah.
by these changes.
Well, we
Okay?
have 2 right
But we-
here that will be squeaky wheels, and if you go to it too, and give them the points. I mean, I'm all in favor of putting that forward and getting them Thursday night to reenact and, or reconvene and and get right
All of us
onto
can
it.
go up there Thursday night.
I mean, they
as well
won't be able to do it before this probably takes
yeah.
effect, but we can at least get it in the works.
Yes.
Here's the way I look at it, Tom. Pete and I have put 2 long years into this.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of meetings. We are both probably ready for it to be done. But I can guarantee for myself, I can't speak for Pete, that I would rather make sure it's done correctly than to just let it go. So I am willing to continue with these nightly meetings, you know, possibly affecting, you know, home life for a while longer until that gets done. Because I want it done right.
Well.
I can promise you that.
Yeah.
And I gotta truly believe that, I mean, lessons learned, mistakes were made. I hope we tried to set an example by, I mean, I tried for, said 2 years, we've tried to get this whole committee together in the beginning in the first place, it just never happened.
Goes back longer than that.
Yeah, it sure
I
does.
mean,
does.
tried to get a member of
Yeah.
selectmen, tried to get a member of warrant finance, tried to get
Yeah.
a member of public, tried
Yep.
to, it just never happened, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it finally came to it, and.
I think we've made great
hoping-
strides.
Lessons learned, we're gonna go forward,
Yeah.
get rid of this turf territorial thing, and let's make this thing
Mhm.
work for the citizens and for the
Gotta generate,
departments.
yep, gotta generate a little bit of trust.
Yeah,
And, you know, I think we're all committed to going and making sure that gets done, starting at Thursday.
Absolutely.
Well, we have to
night's meeting.
define what it is that gets done. That's
Correct.
the hard part.
Well, we got till Thursday to write that, you
Right.
know, and we're
Right.
all around the same
at least to
email
get that,
list, so.
yeah, at least to get that in the works. I mean, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna talk to Jen at the town hall, who in turn will call the chairman, and we'll see if we can't convene that policy committee just as soon as we can. And, I mean, there may be, like I said, I think 2 of them have moved.
Okay.
But
Maybe we can incorporate a member of the fire
That's a good
department
possibility.
into the committee to
Yeah.
replace some of these people that aren't there.
yeah.
You know,
So
That gives us a
we
little
can,
more buy-in.
alternately, if we do this, then when that gets done, we can come back and consider
but
both
that
of these
takes
at
a
the same
whole,
time.
that takes a town meeting to change. This takes a town meeting to change.
Yeah.
That other one takes a stroke of a pen. It's much easier to do that other one at any point during the year.
That's some of my concern too, because
Well,
you're not gonna be a selectman
there's-
ever.
No,
and
I've
he's
still
not gonna be a
got another
chief
2.5,
forever.
almost 3 years, so.
Point taken is, I mean, down the road,
Yeah.
again, I'm hoping lesson learned on the different committees, the right people need to be on these committees.
Right,
And that, I guess if that's what it takes to make an ordinance, and that's what we gotta do as an ordinance then, so they're not forgotten. So we don't have these issues and headaches down the road.
yeah. And by next June, we may find something else in here we want to change.
Oh, it's always
I'm
gonna
sure.
change,
You know,
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure we will.
you know,
Absolutely.
but at some point, we have to.
We gotta start
We
somewhere.
gotta cut it and say, let's move forward with what we got. We know it's not 100% perfect,
Gotta cut the cord
but it's
sometime.
99%. I mean,
All it is
We've
going
gone-
to be is a recommendation by
Yeah.
me, I'm taking it to the
Yeah.
committee, and I am saying that as this stands, I don't perceive that our volunteers have adequate protections in this, the way this stands, okay? Now,
And tell them what
oh, absolutely,
we're
absolutely. I'm
doing going forward with it.
Exactly,
Just
exactly.
don't drop it there, because now it
No, no,
sounds
I
like.
won't, I won't
Right.
drop it there.
Yeah.
And everybody's willing, but what we're theorizing here, we haven't actually, and you know what? This is a lot more work than anybody thinks. When you sit down and look at the big picture, it looks simple. When you start putting the pieces together, it gets a lot more complicated. So,
Absolutely.
there's a vehicle for moving forward, and everybody's happy,
Yeah.
knowing that changes have to be made, or the committee can decide to do what it wants, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And I will abide by the committee's, whatever the committee wants to do, and the town meeting wants to do. But, right now,
My only problem with this one here is, I think it takes too much, it puts too much in a way on the fire chief's shoulders. It's 100% on his
Plate.
plate to deal with. Yeah, you can go to the town hall and get a recommendation. There's no weight to that, not whatsoever, you know?
there doesn't have to be weight to it.
Well, I
It
think if
does-
we're agreed,
Yeah.
guys, that we're gonna go at it in this manner, that we can
Yeah,
close this document for now, go to warrant and finance, bring them up to date on exactly, what we've done and what we've said, and,
Okay.
and go from there. I've got one other
Because we're
question.
hypothesizing
Yeah.
we're hypothesizing
Right.
from here.
Yep.
We're-
Paul,
Yeah.
you have anything to add to this austere group? You don't have to sit way back there in the corner.
very easily.
The only thing that occurred to me as you were talking here is when you're talking about recommending for appointment to the selectmen, it sort of sounds like you're gonna appoint them to be a selectman. So if you sort of turn that a bit to say,
Just the,
recommend to the selectmen for appointment, I think it would be a little less stilted.
That's a good point.
okay?
That's a good point. Thank you, Paul. That's good.
Other than
Yeah, 'cause I
that, I'm
don't
gonna
wanna
slow
be
down
appointed
this vote
selectman.
by,
I don't blame you.
Okay, now your wording was again?
My plate's too
just
full right now.
reversible, recommending to the selectmen for appointment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good wordsmithing.
And I simply suggest that it is 10 minutes of 7, and you really need to get a non-chicken scratch copy over to Warren Finance fairly soon.
They're probably not gonna get a
No,
chicken scratch copy.
They're a week off from a vote. This is discussion here.
Right.
Warrant Finance is going to move on a vote.
But they're still meeting
So-
in 10
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yep.
And this is gonna be part of their.
How's it going to the town tomorrow if they haven't voted on it
It's
yet?
not going to the town.
It's going the 10th of November, I thought.
I thought it was
so there's-
Tuesday the,
I thought it was-
oh,
Second, I
no.
think.
What's the
I was going to the
special?
selectmen Thursday.
Well, what's Tuesday night at the school?
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Like
The
tomorrow?
20th.
No,
That was the original first
Nothing.
date, and now
Oh,
it's
that's
changed.
changed?
nothing,
Well,
yeah.
that's changed
Yeah.
again?
To the 10th.
No,
of
November 3rd and
November.
November 10th is what I heard at the last selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, that's-
Oh,
November
I think that was the
3rd
first.
So which was
the polls, and November 10th was the town
Right,
meeting.
right.
Yeah,
yes.
November,
So it's November
November
10th.
3rd is the.
Way,
is the
way, way,
state-
way back, they thought this was going to be the meeting.
Yes.
Postponed.
yep.
Okay, so there's nothing.
So a week from tonight, Warrant and Finance votes on it.
Right.
And I think a week from Thursday night, the selectmen vote on it. I don't think we're voting on it this week. I think we're waiting for waiting for Warrant Finance and then your recommendation and then our recommendation. So. Because there's a cutoff time when we have to sign this to get it posted.
7
so.
PM, town meeting at school.
Yep, that was the first original time they talked about it.
Yeah.
right, so November 10th is what time?
Well, November 10th is the town meeting.
Right, what
which
time?
we will consider 7.
I think it's 7, whatever it was at on the original one.
I don't know.
As
All
everybody
I know
grabs
is the
their
hearing was
phones.
6, I told 6:30. I'll get there, you guys will be gone.
Yeah, I haven't even plugged it into my phone, so. The 10th at 6.
Jen, it's on the website for the town.
Yeah.
It is on the website? All right.
Everything, all the meetings up in the left-hand corner, you have a thing up there, the schedule, so it's posted right there.
So you're trying to tell me I have to time fine to get online?
That's the way I keep track.
I do good to get emails.
Hey, Mr. Chair, 6:52, what's your pleasure?
Well, if there's nothing further to be brought before the group, we can go to the
Adjourn.
Warrant and Finance meeting.
Yep.
So adjourn.
Have fun.
So moved.